Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a quick little video about Manos Del Uruguay. So I'm working on a new design with their yarn, and before I started emailing with them, I didn't know anything about their company. I'd heard the name, but I didn't know anything about the story behind it or just anything about what they do. And since then I've learned a lot, and they sent me a PDF about kind of how it got started, and I think it's really cool. So I do want to say that they're not paying me to say this. They didn't even suggest that I make a video. I just think that their company's cool, and I think that people might want to know about it, especially because now I think people are more, I think people care more about where their yarn comes from, where it's sourced, and how the animals are treated, and who makes their yarn. And this company is very ethical and sustainable, and they just create a beautiful product, and I think that people might want to know. So that's just why I'm making this video. It's not a promotional thing. These are all my own opinions, and I'm just reading basically off of a PDF that they sent me with information about their company. This is their 50th year of being in business, and I just think it's kind of cool to celebrate that. One little note before we begin. I say Uruguay. I know that some people say Uruguay. So I learned Uruguay. So if you say it differently, just bear with me. That's how I'm going to say it throughout the rest of the video. I did look up the pronunciation, but people were arguing about what was right, so I'm just going to stick with what I know. What I'm working with is their Allegria yarn, and they sent me the no-book colorway, and then also the foil colorway. So this is what is going to be my next design. It's going to be a shawl, and this Allegria yarn is their 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and it comes with 445 yards per skein. So it is unbelievably soft. As someone who is sensitive to wool, I could wear this against my skin, no problem. It is so soft, and the colors are incredibly rich, and it's just going to be an amazing combo, I can already tell. One thing that I think is really cool about this company is that on the inside of each of their tags, it tells you where it was made and who made it. So I don't know if you can see that. It's really hard to read, but the name looks like it says Sylvie. So the bottom one here is the artisan, and the top one is the location. And they do that with every single tag for every yarn, or for every skein of yarn. So this was made by Maribel, and I think in a town called Dragon, which they mention is one of their communities, and I'll talk about that in a second. So this is a non-profit organization. It's called Manos Del Uruguay, or the Hands of Uruguay. And the goal behind this company, or why they started it, is that they wanted to give jobs to rural women. When this company was started in the 60s, the women in these rural towns of Uruguay were already kind of getting the excess wool from like local ranchers. So they would take it and they would wash it and spin it and then make it into things like rugs. They would weave it into rugs and ponchos and things like that. So this was already kind of a thing they were doing before this company was even started. So this kind of company was developed around that foundation. So they kind of came in and said, all right, we like what you're doing here. We like the products you're making. Let's have you guys keep doing that, but we're going to teach you some new skills as well. So they taught them how to do hand loom knitting and dyeing. So they taught them how to dye yarn as well. So now they spin, dye, hand knit, and hand weave items that they sell. So not only do they do yarn, but they make products as well. So they are organized in 13 what they call cooperatives. So they're like little, I believe they're like little towns where they have people working for them in 13 different towns throughout the rural part of Uruguay. So they do have a main like administrative building in, I think it's the capital of Montevideo. That's where all like the logistics and things happen. But they have these 13 little areas that they have in the rural part of the country where these women work. So within these cooperatives, they're little communities of people, and different people have different jobs. So some people spin, and some people dye the yarn, and so they dye them in these communities, and then they have these like little courtyards where they hang up the yarn to dry, and this is where they do all their work, and it's a community of people, and women especially, that have been given jobs. So the yarn is dyed in 2 of these cooperatives. So the ones that are closest to the border of Brazil, this is where they dye the yarn. So one of those cooperatives is a town of about 3,000 people. So most of the town works on cattle ranches, but then you also have a group of people, especially women, that dye the yarn in this cooperative. So these women are typically like the head of their families financially. Because the cooperatives are in these rural areas where these women live, they're able to stay with their families and send their kids to the local school. So they're able to like keep them together, keep the families together, which is, I think, really great. And one of the things that I think is most incredible about this is that these women get paid income as well as paid vacation, retirement, and then health services for them and their families. And then the other cooperative that they talk about, I don't know that I'm pronouncing this right, but I would say Dragon. And that's actually what is on this label here. You can see it right there. So this is a tiny village of about 500 people. So most of the population of this village works at a local rice mill, but then you also have this cooperative of women that work for this company. So in this specific cooperative, they dye yarn and they weave rugs. And then in this PDF, which I'll try and see if I can have included, but they show different women that work in these communities, and they say how long they've been working there. Like one woman worked there for 7 years, and another had been working there for 25. So one woman had been working there for half the time that this company has been out there. So they are part of the World Fair Trade Organization, or WFTO. They were certified as a member in 2009. So what that means is that they were recognized for more than 40 years of continuous sustainable work. So that, I think, is very important to a lot of people, is they want to know, is the yarn that I'm using made sustainably or ethically? And with this company, it is. So they hand spin a lot of their yarn locally, and they also mill most of their yarn locally. Now, once they reach capacity with how much they can handle, then they outsource a little bit of it. But, a lot of it is trying to be contained within these communities. And they source some of their non-wool fibers from abroad as well. So like their silk and their cashmere, their Pima cotton and things like that, they have to source abroad. So that's just a little bit of information about this company. I just think they're really great, and what they're doing is amazing. Providing income for these women and giving them paid vacations, retirement, health insurance, and things like that is just unbelievably amazing. And the yarn is not like absurdly expensive. It's the price of a normal skein of hand-dyed yarn. So the fact that they're able to keep it fairly affordable while also making it ethically and sustainably, and then also providing income for so many women and their families. All that to say, congratulations to this company on 50 years of great service, and I haven't worked with their product yet, but I'm very excited to get started on it, and I think it will be great. I'm going to happily work with this yarn and continue to support them in the future. So if you're looking for sustainable and ethically made yarn, you might want to take a look at this company because they're great and they've been doing it for a very long time. And thanks for watching, guys. This is just a little kind of series that I think I'm going to start doing where I just want to learn more about yarn companies and then share that information with you guys so that you can know where your yarn is coming from and how it's made and just the kind of the story of the company behind the yarn. So thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're interested in more videos. Thanks, guys.